Hello, everybody. Welcome to SMSF Mate. This is 2024. What are we, May? And it's that time of the year where you, should be thinking about SMSF tax returns. I certainly have been the last couple of weeks. And I'm joined here with Ashwin, our resident accountant, and Tim, who's hiding behind the camera, making sure that we are being recorded and our microphones are working.
All looking good.
All looking good. So I've got some questions for Ashwin, which will apply for most people for end of financial year. So maybe Ashwin, start us off. SMSF tax return checklist. Where should we be looking?
Look, there's quite a few things to look through. To start off with, it would probably checking that you're up to date. So making sure the return for the previous year.
Not doing my 2019 return.
Yes, ideally. Is probably the first thing to make sure that's all done. If there are any outstanding issues to sort of navigate that through.
And if I wasn't sure, how would I check?
If you weren't sure, you can actually go to the ABR website, which is the Australian government website, type in the ABN of your super fund and you'll see if it's actually still complying. And it's usually very quickly the ATO actually updates when you're not compliant. So if your returns are late, they'll remove it, which will stop you from being able to do a lot of things in your super fund. So
pretty important to get that.
Pretty important to get that up to date. You can ask for extensions with the ATO. I still don't know if that actually updates the ABR if the extension's granted, but it is important to maintain the compliance of the super fund.
Yeah, so start with the oldest first.
Start with the oldest first. Get up to date. If you're not up to date, real question is what's going on, and is super fund the right structure for you, self-managed one?
And if the tax office is listing, mine is up to date. Given my name's on this podcast.
Look, I suppose it's the main thing people are really trying to do at the end of the financial year is their tax planning, and one of the most common things people will do if they're able to contribute to super is use their concessional caps. So whatever they're allowed to put up to 27,500 this year. And they may be eligible to use up previous year's caps that they haven't used up. So a good scenario is if they qualify for that and they've got less than $500,000 in total super across all super funds.
Per beneficiary?
Per person, yep.
So if it's my wife and I in our super fund, we can have 500,000 each.
Less than 500,000 to qualify. And obviously your super fund will break down each person's member balance from the prior year. So it's important to sit down with your accountant, make sure you qualify for it if you've got a self-managed fund. Or your financial advisor self-managed. But if it's a managed fund or an Australian super, you can contact them and check your total super contributions.
Understood.
And the most likely situation is you might have had, we've obviously all gone through this real estate little boom that's going, and I think it may or may not continue. And let's say you've realised a capital gain in your own name.
Fund.
Outside of super.
Outside of super, sorry.
You could use these caps to reduce that tax bill, but the funds have to be into your super fund before the 30th of June.
The cash
has to be in there and recorded. So when you don't have a self-managed super fund, the process could be a bit longer in terms of you need to get the money into your retail fund or your industry fund in enough time so they can process it.
Right.
So
don't leave your tax return until the 29th of June.
Or working out this tax plan.
Yeah, tax planning,
so go see your accountant now, or if you know you have the capital gain event that's already happened, be proactive and try and resolve it. It could be really tax effective. On top of that, there could be, from a self-managed point of view, there might be valuation requirements you need. So if you got, property, is it in that period of time where you have to revalue it? Get on top of that, get that all ticked off.
Right.
Review your insurances, the needs, the policy, all of those things being processed.
All done before end of financial year.
End of financial year is the ideal time to sort all of those things out. Investment strategies, it's still valid, doesn't need to be tweaked. Have you changed your investment strategy in the last period of time? So those are really big overarching things. And the best way to start is actually to have a meeting. So with the trustees of the fund, if it's, Gareth, in your case, you and your wife, sitting down and going, hey, these are the things we still have in our super. Does all of these things line up?
Yeah.
If you're struggling to work out what you need to line up, that's where your accountant and financial advisor should help navigate that process to ensure you're meeting things in there. You can't cover off all things. Some things will still move between now and June, but at least you've done your best guess of doing a health check.
Quick recap, if you've got a managed fund, get their financials. If you've got a property, needs valuations, get that done. Insurances, check if you're relevant, still need them. You might want new ones. And any costs, that may be relevant to your super fund. Get all that paperwork together.
Try and get it all together, yeah. The big one, and it doesn't apply for us personally, we're not in retirement phase, but if we're in a pension phase, well, I don't think so, Gareth, you look pretty young to me.
I feel like it. Is how much grey hair I got? I feel 65.
Young kids will do that to yourself and myself. We feel tired.
Still got 20 years of work to go, I think.
But we can't fake our age. So unfortunately, we're not at pension phase. But for the people that have retired or are in pension phase, they need to take out their minimum amount of pension before the 30th of June.
Before 30 June.
The consequences of not taking the minimum pension can be significant, as in you lose the tax benefits for that period of time. So really important to make sure you've done that. So we generally will give our clients with a breakdown of what they need to take out by the end of the year. We're going to try this year to actually call all the clients to make sure it's actually happened, because even if though we put it in a letter to them, they sometimes forget. It's just a reminder to
Goes
do that.
in the in-tray?
Yeah, so look, be proactive. And again, the responsibility falls to you as a trustee to ensure you do it. If you don't do it, you've got a extra tax to be paid in retirement, which is not great. So we would hope you could avoid that. The other thing is, if you're one of those fortunate people that have got more than the available cap in super.
What's that, about 1.6
I think it's
million,
1.9 now.
Is that per person?
Per person or per and you'll be with the per person, it's per account member, so across any other funds.
Yeah.
Just make sure.
And sometimes that might not be the same. I think when I first set up an SMSF, I got a lot of the rules I thought applied to the total balance, but it actually is per individual.
Per member, yeah.
And it's not split 50-50. It's based on their personal contributions over time, personal investments, so on.
So for me, and it's unfortunately the situation for most families. Someone's stayed at home and that person's had less super contributions. The balance aren't going to be 50-50. Yeah. But there are the opportunities to square it up, so you can put more money in that person to get them up to an equal balance. But again, you're weighing up the tax benefits of doing that and squaring it all away. So important to make sure those things are ticked off. But I would say those are the main things to go through with end of financial year.
Right.
And if that all seems too much, book a time with a professional to sit down and go through that list, because they'll know your fund, and they'll go through what needs to happen and activate any changes that need to be ensured before that. So great check.
Good checklist.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out via our website, smsfmate.com.au, and there is a great article on there about this as well.
Thank you, guys.